भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो जयमुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भगवती श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
So thank you so much everyone, all the devotees for joining this wonderful Saturday evening Bhakti Vriksha, where we take every sloka and try to go deeper into the meanings of the sloka. And today we are going through chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, and verse number 4. This is a very, very powerful verse, often quoted by everybody. So please repeat after me. Bhumirapo nalo vayu.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu.
Khammam mano buddhireva cha.
Khammam mano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me.
Ahankara ityam me.
Bhinna prakritiryastada.
Bhinna prakritiryastada.
Bhumi apo nalo vayu.
Bhumi apo nalo vayu.
Kham mano buddhireva cha.
Mano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me.
Ahankara ityam me.
Bhinna prakritirastada.
Bhinna prakritiryastada.
Any Mataji, Sarprabhuji?
Bhumi apo analo vayu.
Bhumi
apo analo vayu.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me binna.
Ahankara ityam me
binna prakriti ashtada.
Binna prakriti ashtada.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu.
Mano buddhireva cha.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me.
Ahankara ityam me.
Binna prakritir ashtadha.
Binna prakriti ashtada.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me.
Ahankara ityam me.
Binna prakriti ashtadha.
Binna prakriti ashtada.
Anyone else?
Bhumirapo analo vayu.
Bhumirapo nalo
vayu.
Kama mano buddhireva cha.
Mano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me.
Ahankara
ityam me.
Binna prakritirashtadha.
Binna prakriti.
Anyone else?
Bhumirapo analo vayu.
Bhumirapo analo vayu.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Kammano buddhireva cha.
Ahankara ityam me.
Ahankara ityam me.
Bhinna prakritir ashtadha.
Binna prakriti ashtada.
Okay. Word by word meaning. Bhumi,
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 earth.
Earth,
earth,
Apa,
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 water.
Water,
water,
Annala,
Annala,
Anala,
Nala,
fire.
fire,
fire,
Vayu,
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 air.
air,
Kham,
Kham,
ether.
ether,
ether,
Mana,
Mana,
mind.
Mind,
mind,
mind, Buddhi,
Intelligence.
intelligence,
intelligent,
Eva,
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 certainly.
Certainly,
certainly,
Cha,
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 and.
and
and
Ahankara,
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 false ego.
False
false
ego,
ego,
false ego,
Iti,
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 thus.
thus,
thus,
Iyam,
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 all these.
all
all
this,
Me,
me,
my.
my,
Bhinna,
Bhinna,
separated.
Separated,
separated,
Prakriti,
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 energies.
energies,
energies,
Ashtada,
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 eightfold.
eightfold,
eightfold.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhuji, one of you can read this page, and next we'll go to the next screen.
Purport. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusa incarnation. Expansions as described in the Narada Pancha.
Auntie बोले છે શું સાંભળ listen listen okay lesson નથી
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
One of the Satvata Tatras. Vishnustu Trini Rupani Purusakhyani Ato Vidu Ekam tu Mahata Srastra Dvitiyam Tva Anda Samsthitam Tritiyam Sarva Bhutastam Tani Gyatva Vimuchyate.
Someone else can read this.
For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes 3 Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as the Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement.
This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. These Purusas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the science of God Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the Purusas, the causes, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestations. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirmed this. The ingredients of the material manifestations are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyotir, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalists, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. Therefore, no spiritual diversities in the Brahma Jyotir as there is the Vaikuntha Lokas, and the impersonalists accept this Brahma Jyotir as the ultimate eternal goal. Somebody else can take.
Somebody else can read the next line from here, the Paramatma manifestation.
Paramatma, yes. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all-pervasive aspect of the Kshudasai Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person and he possesses different separated and internal energies. In the internal energy, the principal manifestation are 8, and as above mentioned, out of these, the first 5 manifestation, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creation or the gross creations, within which the 5 sense objects are included. They are the manifestation of physical sounds, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am and it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence referred to the total material creation called the Mahatattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifested the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankho atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But aesthetic Sankho philosopher with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankho philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna as it is described in Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much. Agyana Timirandasya. You can all sing with me. Agyana
Ajnanatimirandhasya
Jnananjana Salakaya
Jnanam
Janasalakaya
Unmilitam Yena
Jnana Tasmai Sri Gurave
Guru Namaha.
Sri Gurave
Sri
Namaha
Namaha.
Stapitam Yena
Sri
Bhutale
Manavishtam
Swayam
Stapitam Yena
Bhutale
Swayam Rupakaya
Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam
Vandeham
Vandeham
Sri
Sri
Guru
Sri
Guru
Guru
Sri Yuta
Sri
Padakamalam
Uttara Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam
Sagrajatam
Natam Tam Tam Sajivam
Tam
Sadvetam
Sagam Sadutam
Sahitam
Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
Sri Radha
Radha Krishna
Krishna
Pada
Sagana
Sagan Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitancha
He
He
Krishna
Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Dinavan
Dinamando
Jagatpate
Jagatpati
Gopika
Gopi
Gopesha Gopika
Gopika
Kanta
Kant
Radha
Radha
Kanta
Kanta Namastute
Namastute
Tapta Kanchana Gauranga
Gaurangi
राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी
नु सुते देवी
प्रणमामि
हरिप्रिये
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 वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
एव च
पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
चैतन्य
जय श्री कृष्ण
प्रभु
चैतन्य प्रभु
नित्य
नित्यानंद
नित्यानंद
श्री अद्वैता
इतो
गदाधर
गदाधर
श्रीवासादि गौर
चंद्रशेखर भक्ति बुंदा
हरे कृष्णा
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण कृष्ण
हरे
कृष्ण
कृष्णा हरे
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 राम हरे
राम
राम राम
राम
राम
राम हरे
हरे
हरे।
हरे
हरे हरे
So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Saturday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion forum. And today, what a words! Krishna is explaining about the Astada, or the eighth fold separated material energies. And he's explaining it so beautifully. Sometimes people ask, what are the five gross elements? What are the three subtle elements? And we all refer to this. But this is the verse where everything is really coming about. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, Bhumi apo nalo vayu. Bhumi means, earth. Anal, apa means water. Anala, people give their kids names Anil, right? Anil means Anil. It comes from fire. Anala, Vayu, air, calm, and Mana, mind, Buddhi, intelligence. And these went finally Ahankara, false ego. And he's saying these are the Astada, these are the separated, Bhinna. Krishna uses the word Bhinna Prakriti Astada. And these are the 8 separated material energies. And here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining about the cosmic manifestation, which is actually very nicely explained between Narad Muni and in the second canto of Bhagavad Gita, and also in the third canto between the dialogue between Maitreya Muni and Vidurji. Very nicely. And in the morning, we are now discussing exactly on the 6th chapter, where we're discussing about the cosmic manifestation, 5th and 6th chapters of the third canto, where we're discussing about the cosmic manifestation. And here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining about the plenary expansions of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is not avatar. Lord Krishna is an avatari. Avatari means he is the source of all expansions. And from him, many expansions come out. There are 6 types of incarnations. For the purpose of this discussion on this page, maybe I'll have to get some slide decks from a different katha where all the 50 plus incarnations of Lord Krishna is explained so nicely and broken down into the 6 types of incarnation. But the first Purusha expansion of Lord Krishna, the Purna Purushottam Krishna, is right here. Garbhadakshay Vishnu, sorry, Karnadakshay Vishnu or Mahavishnu, the causal karana means cause, right? So he's resting on the causal ocean. He is resting in the Mahavishnu is resting on the karana ocean, causal ocean. So when he's resting on causal ocean, he is Mahavishnu or Karnadakshay Vishnu. And then from his pores of his hair, universes emanate. And these universes, when they emanate, the other expansion, the second expansion, as Prabhupada is right here mentioning, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, he enters into the Garbha. Garbha means, you have a Garbha from where everything impregnation happens. So Garbhadakshay Vishnu enters into all these universes. So the universes get impregnated. And from Garbhadakshay Vishnu, the third expansion is the Kirodakshay Vishnu, which is right here. And he has 2 primary types of expansion. One is the plenary expansion, where Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, which is essentially the absolute expansion, which are nothing but, the Virat Roop and all the other types of 5 types of incarnations, not the Purusha expansion. They have already been expanded now as we are speaking. The Leela avatars, the Guna avatars. We'll get into that in a slide. And the other kind of expansion is the separated expansion, which is essentially the Paramatma. As Paramatma, he goes into every living being, whether it is a dog or a cat or a human being, he goes into the heart as Paramatma. That is essentially the marginal energy of the Lord. So from Kriya Vishnu, there are two kinds of expansion. One is the absolute or plenary expansion, where all these Leela avatars, Guna avatars, and other Saktavesha avatars, the other 5 avatars emanate. And the other kind is actually people like you and me, who are essentially the marginal energy of the Lord. So from Kriyodakshay Vishnu, the expansion in the form of the marginal energy of the Lord in our heart as Paramatma, as the soul and super soul, is and we without soul, we basically do not live. Because of the soul, we are basically moving around. Because the Lord is present in our heart, we are moving around. So it is very nicely explained in the cosmic manifestation of this material universe. But for the sake of today's discussion, there is a lot to cover actually. So this is a very fascinating subject. So there are 8 separated material energies, as 7.4 is explaining. And the first is Bhumi, earth. Earth is one of the material expansions. Then water, fire, Vayu, air, and the 5th one is Ka, means ether. Ether means space. Space. You can think of that as ether. And there are 3 subtle material energies: mind, intelligence, and false ego. So let's discuss this. So whenever we think about a gross body, so what happens? The potter goes and selects the soil, right? As you can see on the right. And then he takes the soil from the earth, and then he applies water on it. So he kneads it, right? And then and he uses his intelligence to rotate it. That's where his intelligence is coming, where he rotates it, as you can see in this picture. And then he gives a wet shape to it. And then this wet shape goes into a fire, where air is actually going with oxygen and trying to burn this up. When it's burning this up, it's basically hardening it. And when it is hardening it, you get shape. That means it has air inside. So it has taken a shape after the burning of the pots. But all these things are happening in the design mind of the person or the potter. So there is a person involved. So you cannot really get rid of the person involved in all these material creations. When impersonalists, they think this material creation got created by the Big Bang theory or the primordial soup. You'll find a lot of lectures and theses and PhDs on it, that earth got created because of this. Actually, if the earth got created, it must have got a creator. If a pot cannot be created from nowhere, if a pot needs a potter to be created, how can this universe be created from no one? So that's why the impersonalists fail all the time. And here, as you can see, it starts with soil from earth. Then you add water, which is the second gross element. Then you apply fire on it with air. Then it becomes a shape, which is actually basically it covers it. And these 5 gross bodies, as you can see, earth, water, fire, air, ether, has a mapped senses. So the earth is smell and nose, water is taste and tongue, fire is sight and eye, air is touch and skin, and ether is sound and ear. So this is all explained nicely in Bhagavad Gita, as you can see. So these are the 5 gross elements. So there is probably no doubt in anybody's mind as to we all come from these gross elements. These are the 5 gross elements using which the Supreme Personality of Godhead has actually created all of us. And then as Srila Prabhupada was mentioning about this Mahatattva, and in here, there is a mention of 24 elements. These 24 elements are nothing but the 23 material creation elements and Lord Krishna, which is actually the 24 in this example. So it starts with, in every transformation, the last finishing touch is the glance of the Lord. Material nature manifests into Mahatattva, from which universal manifestation starts. As you can see, when the pot was made, it was not made just like that. There is a person involved. He had the finishing touch. He led the design. So likewise, this universe got created with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purna Purushottam Sri Krishna, with his finishing touch. And the first material nature manifests into Mahatattva, from which this universal manifestation starts. The Mahatattva is the shadow of Lord's pure consciousness with a slight addition of mode of passion. Because Lord has created this, if we would not have some anartha within ourselves, we will not be here actually. We are here because we have indulged in some aspect of anartha. We have certain element of passion, we have certain element of ignorance. So Lord has added a slight element of passion to Mahatattva, as it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Mahatattva generates false ego. So this ego, the ahankar, which is talked about in this verse, you heard about ahankar. All of us have ahankar. There is not a single person today who doesn't have ahankar. So this Mahatattva generates false ego. And this false ego gives the binding force of material existence. And its main function is to think that there is no God. I am everything. In my heart, there is Paramatma, and Paramatma is one in me. Just because it is one in me, I am the same, and I am God. So it gives the function of godlessness in everybody's mind. That's why you see thousands of gods in this world right now, because the false ego is taking over from them. And they think that this body is everything. The body is mine, and it's not soul. And the soul is actually a proprietor of the Supreme. They don't think like that. Once the false ego gets into our system, we think like that. And then the spirit of, then you basically generate that if Paramatma is in me, then I am basically controlling Paramatma. Then I am possibly the Lord. So it gives the spirit of false lordship in this context. This false ego is very, very dangerous. This ahankara, of the 8 elements, ahankara is one of them, and it is very, very dangerous for all of us in anything, in our job life, in our spiritual life, in our family life. Because of ahankara, things have fallen apart. This false ego transforms into mind and demigods. So when Lord created this false ego, it transforms into mind. So there is some thinking, this marginal energy where Paramatma is sitting. We have a mind where we are thinking about it. And this false ego's mode of goodness transforms into mind and demigods, because mind always tries to think, what is good for the body, even if it's not thinking at a soul level, but it is at least thinking about the the consciousness of the body. So when you're basically thinking in the consciousness of the body, the mind doesn't allow you to jump on a well. The mind will protect you because he's thinking in the mode of goodness. But the false ego, the mode of passion, it transformed into senses. And there are 5 Panchabhutas, the 5 sky, air, fire, water, earth, the material elements, the object of senses, sound, touch, form, taste, smell, and the knowledge acquiring senses are earth, skin, eye, tongue, nose, and the 5 working senses we have is speech, legs, hands, evacuating organs, and genitals. So all these things which are written in bold in this are the 23 elements, out of which the 5 elements, 5 gross elements, is something we will talk about. There is one thing which is missing here, which Lord gave later. That's why it is not there in the cosmic manifestation creation. It is intelligence. Intelligence is given later. If the intelligence to transcend to the mode of goodness forever will be there, we will not be here actually. So Lord has given intelligence, different quantity and quality to different people, and that we are going to cover later. So say for example, we have a a, a knife, as you can see here, and this knife has honey on this. So when this knife had honey on it, so what are the reactions? What are the reactions when you think about? So, first, what is mind's response? Mind is trying to lick the honey. Mind is trying to get the sweetness of honey. So the mind is thinking, let me go and get the honey by licking it from the sharp knife, right? But at the time, the intelligence is saying, hey, if you do that, your tongue is going to be cut. There'll be blood coming out. There'll be safety issues. So that is why the intelligence, the conscious intelligence, is protecting the mind. So when the mind goes out, mind doesn't want to chant. Mind doesn't want to go to the temple. Mind doesn't want to come to the Bhakti Vriksha. Mind doesn't want to study. Mind doesn't want to do your job properly. Then intelligence, if it is properly nurtured, is going to say something which is favorable in the mode of goodness, so that the outcome is positive. But if the intelligence is not nurtured well by someone who is guiding you properly, or by someone who doesn't have that sense of consciousness, you would go and probably lick the honey and you will cut the tongue. But the intelligence here is explaining that, hey, don't go close to it. But at the time, false ego may come in between, and false ego will try to say, hey, we're very strong. We have designed this knife. What can knife do for us? We have created it. So that false ego, that false blindness, that intoxication, when people get intoxicated, they cannot think properly. They think the right thing is wrong and wrong thing is right. They just think opposite. So if the false ego comes in between, it blurs the vision of intelligence. And when this blurring of the vision of intelligence happens, that is exactly when the person falls down. And that is why I wanted to explain the 3 subtle elements, so that you all have a good understanding of the 8 elements what Krishna is talking about. The 5 gross elements with the example of the potter, so that you have a full idea about the 5 gross elements. And we all have that within us. We all have air inside, we have water inside, and and we have a mind, we have false intelligence, false ego, and we have intelligence. And we're trying to, so with this 8 elements, Lord Krishna has created the 5 separate senses, elements, which is explained so nicely by Lord Krishna here. And these are the 8 material energies, the 8 separated material energies of the Lord. And this creation of the mind from the cosmic manifestation perspective should be well understood. So whenever we think about our ahankar, when we think about this mind and false ego, see, Srila Prabhupada always gives this beautiful example of the gardener who is actually taking care of the garden. When he's taking care of the garden, he is not thinking that this flower belongs to me. He just, doing his job. When he starts plucking flowers, then if the king comes to know about it, he may let him go, because he is not following the order. He's thinking that there is this aspect of being a gardener is my proprietorship. If he thinks like that, the king will let him go. So we are actually like gardeners in this world. This body also doesn't belong to us. The body is a temple which is supposed to be used for the service of the Lord. But if we misuse this body, if we make this body go through some of the unregulated things and mess with the body, there will be consequences. And that's the reason why Prabhupada gives this gardener example so nicely. So any quick question on this before I give you a view of the of the incarnations of the Lord.
Hi, Prabhu.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Very nicely you explain it, and very nice. This honey on a knife. This example is perfect example. Very and showing that mind, intelligence, and false ego. This completely describes. Properly describes. So, Prabhu, my question is that first question is that Kirudaya Sai Vishnu is the from Kirudaya Sai Vishnu the Virat Rupa is created, right? Or Kirudaya Sai Vishnu itself is Virat Rupa?
Now, from Kirodakshaya Vishnu, Virat Rupa is created.
Okay, okay. And second question is that
I'll give you a visual, Prabhu.
Hello?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can hear you.
Yes, so next question is that earth is the element, right? So earth is that in scientific, you can see the science, there is a lot of element like that, manganese, hydrogen, oxygen, and everything. All together is earth, or what is that? Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, so in the right sense, right? So
Yeah.
the earth, what we are referring to is, right, Prabhuji, is actually not the true chemical composition of the earth. We are actually talking about the soil in general. So whether the soil in general, the earth in general, comprise of the various different, minerals, materials, it's all considered within earth, Prabhu. So there is no distinction in that sense. So whenever we go and when we leave this body, we will actually merge with the earth. So we will become earth actually. So there is no distinction in terms of the chemical composition. And Prabhuji, can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can see.
Yeah. So here, let me take a minute to explain. Prabhuji has asked all these very nice questions. I had a slide for it. So as you can see, this is the Karna Dukha ocean. This is the causal ocean, Karana Dukshai Vishnu. So, and he is known as Mahavishnu. Okay. So he's residing, and from the pores of his hair, all these universes you see, universes are emanating. But these universes need some element of impregnation, right? So as the expansion of Mahavishnu or Karandakshay Vishnu, as Garbhadakshay Vishnu, so he enters into the Garbha of each of these universes. And from Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu comes in the four-handed Vishnu form. So there are three Vishnus actually. So this is a very critical question everybody need to understand. Who is higher, Krishna or Vishnu? And this question is asked by everybody. So this is from the scriptures. So from Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purna Purushottam Shri Krishna, Mahavishnu or Karnadokshay Vishnu emanates. From Karnadokshay Vishnu's expansion, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. From Garbhodakshay Vishnu is Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And as Kshirodakshay Vishnu has two kinds of expansions. One is the plenary expansion or the absolute expansion or the Vishnu Tattvas or the incarnations. We'll go over it in a minute. And the separate expansion is he is actually present in everybody's heart. You see a tiger here, you see a human being here. In their heart, he is present as Paramatma. So there are, and these three Vishnus are the first Purusha avatars. And from Kshirodakshay Vishnu, the Virat Rup is emanating. You see the Virat Rup which Krishna showed to Arjuna in Battle of Kurukshetra. So from the Virat Rup, you can see all the incarnations of the Lord, the tortoise avatar, the Nrsimha avatar. All these avatars are actually coming from Virat Rup. And so, so if you think about it, so Krishna, Purna Purushottam Krishna, has three Purusha avatars: Karnadokshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And we discussed about it. The second kind of avatar is Leela avatar. See, Srila Jayadev Goswami, through his beautiful writings, has popularized Dasa avatar, but that doesn't mean there are only 10 avatars. So, so avatar is someone who really incarnates, who comes down. And when he comes down, he has some specific purpose in mind, right? So he will come down, half lion, half man, neither in the day nor in the night, to get rid of somebody who's really giving trouble to his wonderful devotee. Okay, so he comes with a specific purpose. Likewise, Lord comes as tortoise for certain purpose. So as you know, Matsya, Naranarayana, and Nrsimha, different Leelas, Lord comes down as Leela avatars. Then Lord, another third kind of avatar Lord Krishna has is the Guna avatars. The Guna avatar is, people say that in Hindu Trinity, we have Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, and Shiva is the annihilator. So this is all we know actually. We do not know until we joined ISKCON that there is so much of expansion. So those are the three Guna avatars. So Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. So that's a third kind of avatar. The first kind of avatar is Purusha avatar. The cosmic manifestation starts with Mahavishnu or Karnadaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kirodaksha Vishnu. Then we have 25 Leela avatars, 3 Purusha avatars, 25 plus 3, 28. And we have 3 Guna avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Then we have Manmantra avatar, the avatars associated with the reign of each Manu as Manmantra. And they are listed. They are all in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is not really spoken from anywhere else. It is in the 8th canto, chapter 1, 5, and 13. So there are 14 Manmantra avatars, as you can see on the screen. Then there are Yuga avatars. Yuga avatars means in Satya Yuga, Lord came in the form of white, Krita Shukla, Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Then Shrita Shukla Chaturbahu as 4-handed white. Tretayam Raktavarnashu. In the Tretayam, he is red. Dwapare Bhagavan Shyam. That means in Dwapara Yuga, he is blackish, Shyam. And in Kali Yuga, he is Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna, 11.5.2. In the Kali Yuga, he is not, he is like Krishna, but he is not with the color of Krishna. He is yellowish. He is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Channa Avatar. That means he is coming in the form of a devotee so that people cannot understand. As Channa, as someone who cannot. So there are 4 Yuga avatars: Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. And then we have many Saptavesh avatars, and one who is having divine absorption like Kapiladev and Rishabhadev. And there are avatars which are empowered to spread the message of the Lord. There is Lord Brahma, there is Narad Muni, there is Prithu Maharaj, there is Pashuram, and Srila Prabhupada has quoted in various verses that Jesus Christ is a Saktavesh avatar because he came to Banaras and Jagannath Puri to spread the message of the Lord. So as you can count, if you can count all this, you have 50 plus avatars. So if somebody asks you, the total number of avatar is 10, you can always refer to this information from Srimad Bhagavatam, where you have 50 plus avatars. So Prabhuji, you had a question that whether the Kirodaksha Vishnu, from there, all the other avatars emanate. The answer is yes. So with that, I would like to go back to one more thing, because I want to end here. I would like to discuss more in this verse, about this verse. So I'll stop here so that we will discuss and entertain all the questions. It's a very beautiful topic. It's a very fascinating topic. And Srila Prabhupada has extended these 8-fold material, gross and subtle elements into Mahatattva. That's why it's becoming more involved. So what I'll do is I'll just end here. We'll have question answers, and then we'll end with Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Prabhu, I have